All right. Hello, folks. Welcome back. Your chat is here, so that's why sometimes I have a couple of monitors here. So that's why sometimes I look here and sometimes here, sometimes, So just bear with me. But hello, I'm glad to be back again to this workshop. I think we had a very tough day yesterday. Let's say, because initially we went through Dart and perhaps it was a little bit, hard to grasp, I understand. But then we had some introduction to Flutter, which was amazing. And at the end, we just learned a little bit about some essential widgets, and we created a small tiny app and see how it works. So today I'm going to continue on that, so you know now the basics. What we want to create, this app that you see in my screen. You see, this is an app. You can scroll, see weathers. You can scroll, see this weather. Here it is. You can click, go to setting, do something. Either here, come back, or click and come back. And we want to achieve this design. So it's a lot of stuff here happening right now. I'm going to restart this app and you see what's going on. When I restart this app, look at this. It says loading and then animation. It slowly comes to the screen that state, and then you see everything. This is what we are going to create today together. And what I want to do, because yesterday I saw that some people are still asking like how I can create a folder, how I can create a project, blah, 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 blah. So I'm going to start from very, very scratch. You look at me and you, by the way, can clone the repository that I sent you yesterday. I'm going to send it again today. Everyone, that's the repository. You can just clone the master branch. You can clone everything, go to master, create another branch, call it your branch, call it your name and workshop today. Because I really want you to finish this app and send a PR to this repo. And I can see what you've done. This is going to be amazing, right? So clone this, fork this repo, create your branch, and at the end, send me a PR so I can see what you've done. So, and maybe you will also add a lot of other things that we also don't have to talk about them today. You can do it on your time. You have time, and then just send me and make me happy when you create your own app with all of your implementation. But let's get started. First of all, what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a project. Simply, yesterday, if people asked me how I can create a project, I'm going to actually show you right now. We have Flutter already installed. I can say create. And then you need to say template -- app, which folder you want to create to. And I want to say workshop 2010-2020 today. So if I hit this command right now, that's going to create a workshop for me, like a folder, and I can run my application. Look at this. It's going to create that. Fantastic. And pop, Flutter pop get to get all the packages. We discussed that yesterday, and that's it, done. So I'm going to open that in my code editor. So let's move on to workshop that, and then let's open it in VS Code. Let me remove unnecessary windows, make this bigger for you. And I think it is now big enough. Okay, so now I have my project ready. So If you have VS Code, you must have 2 plugins already installed for VS Code for using Flutter. You need to have Flutter plugin and you need to have Dart plugin. So, and that helps you to have everything for Flutter copying here. So, okay, I have everything here in this folder. So I'm gonna a little bit clean up. I'm gonna remove these unnecessary comment. I don't want them anymore. So just clean up for you to make sure when we are adding something, you you understand what we are doing. So I'm gonna remove that, remove here some stuff, keep here, and I'll remove the rest here. And here we go, and I'm gonna remove that too. So it's a clean project right now. To start, I'm going to go to main, open it, and I have my main application. Just want to clear this for now. Again, let's remove everything here, all of this, and let's have a clean application. So let me just start this application. So what I usually do, I go here, you see, because I started here for the first time, I don't have any command. I definitely can run my application from command line. And here I say Flutter, run, and whatever device, -d like Android, for instance, whatever I have right now. That's one way. But then I don't get a couple of stuff like something that I need for debugging, restart, and things like that. So then I skip that part. I come to Flutter Play, and because this is the first initial project that I'm going to start, then I need to create some command for VS Code. Similar to that you can do for IntelliJ and you can do for Android Studio, so no worries. And like I said, you are not only limited to this. You can definitely go ahead and do your Flutter run command. But let's create that. And here it says there is no configuration. Of course, there is no configuration. So I'm going to actually create a Flutter. Let me just stop this. Let's do that. I'm going to go through Flutter and says, which Flutter do you want to run, test or Flutter? I said, I want Flutter. And then I can run this project. So I already have this Android simulator open. So it's going to go ahead and build and run it to this application. Let me remove unnecessary windows. So now I am in main.dart underlib. So here is what we started yesterday, what we ended yesterday. And today we're going to start from here. But let's wait a little bit to, yes, let's get the app. All right, we get an app right now. That's very good. That's the initial template of Flutter when you create that, right? So I don't need any of them. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just clean this up. So because I don't need it, let me just remove everything. And here, the only thing that I want is a container, or maybe not even a container, just a text which says hello. We want to start from here. So let's also enable hot reload, and we make sure that is working. If you remember yesterday, okay, it's syncing files to device. A bit slow, I see. All right, so let me just stop it because sometimes this is happening, and then restart it again. And then it should work afterwards. Let me clean it up. Good. All right, this is what we ended yesterday. So if you remember yesterday, we also had scaffold to scaffold our project, and scaffold had body, and body could get a widget like text to render that. So in order to do that, we could do that. We could, in order to get the theme applied, we need to get a scaffold. So I'm going to also remove theme data. I don't need that. And I'm going to remove also title. I don't need that. So here, what I'm going to start. Let's get it started. So let's go to this app. Okay, so I need to start that app to see what we want to do. Let's do that. I'm going to make a screenshot so we don't need to come back to the app anymore. But let's start here. So first thing that I want you to do is to, we're going to implement two screen. So, and we need to also implement navigator. But for now, we just go ahead and implement homepage. So let me take a screenshot of this just in case if we lost this emulator. And let me go back to this app. So hello, my hello is here, of course. And I want you to pay attention to this issue that we are facing right now. You see the hello is under the toolbar of the app, the mobile, and it's not expected. To fix that, Flutter has a widget called Save Area. And Save Area, if you call it, there we can have a child, and if you put that there, then it will add that safe area on top. It will add a margin for that, and you are good to go. So that's probably something you need to think about it, right? So because we want to create several different screens, so I'd like to start here in this homepage. I like to actually extract this to a separated widget, and I want to call it homepage because this is going to be my homepage. You pay attention to me what I'm doing because it's also important for you later to understand how you can organize your code and create smaller widgets. So what we're going to do right now is, so first of all, you see the debug like a ribbon here. It's a red one. Let me also turn that off because it's, I know that this is for debugging and it's nice to have, but let's take it off. And the way that you can do that, there is a parameter here called debug show checked mode banner. And if you call it false, then it will go away. Let's do that for now. What I'm going to do, like I said, I want to create two screens, right? So let me create a folder here under lib, and let's call it screens. And then let me also create a file here. Let's call it home page underline screen.dart. So here, what I want to do, I want to create a stateless widget. So let's do that. To do that, we have class, let's call it home screen. And then we need to extend what? Yes, you're right, stateless widget. And as you remember yesterday, then we're gonna have build method here, right? And you need to override it, and then you're gonna have your homepage screen unimplemented here. Fine. But what I want to do, let's go back to main file. I actually want to replace this widget, scaffold, safe area text. I want to just remove that. And instead of that, let's first create something here, return a container. And that gets a, or sorry, return a scaffold. And that gets a body. And that gets a container, which is going to get a child, and that's a text, hello. This is a component that I created. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to actually remove this home. So let's remove it one by one. I remove this child, and then this safe area, and then this whole scaffold here. And instead of that, I want to use my widget, which is home screen widget, and it's already telling me that it now can be import from that file. Let's do that. You look at this here. So you can actually import even relative. You don't need absolute. So you need to import screens. Let's take a moment and understand what's going on right now. You import home screen Dart file from screen folder. Here is a screen, here is this home screen, and now you have importing this. You have imported this home screen class, right? Therefore, it will be available here in this file, which is main file, right? So here you go. Now you have a widget, and it's called home screen, and it doesn't pollute your main file anymore. So here we go. We move on to home screen from now on to create our application. Let's move on. Here is my home screen. What I'm going to do here, I want to actually have the first thing. Let's take a look at the app here. The first thing that this app has is app bar. So this is an app bar that has a title and that has this icon on the right side, right? And what I'm gonna do now here, I want to go ahead and I create this right now. So on scaffold, that's another property or parameter to which you can send an app bar, and that is app bar. And then you have, let's take one step back and remember what I told you yesterday. If you don't know what it is, now you know what app bar does. It just appears this app bar on the top, but then you don't know how to do that. Then, okay, let's go back to app bar and see, all right, so this is showing something to me, but may not be very, very useful. And so what I need to do is I need to have a widget here then. At least I know that. So here it says that is a widget. Okay, that's good. So then I need to have app bar widget. So this is app bar, and yes, I have an app bar widget here. And if I do that, then, okay, sorry, we need to go back to our app. Now, what's going on here? Here you go. You have an app bar. Let me remove that. The app bar is gone. But when you have, the app bar is here, right? So now you have an app bar. So let's move on and just create the app bar that we saw in the picture. I can actually open up the picture which I took here. Let's have it here. And let's look at this. I want to create this app bar. So this app bar is having this and this, for instance. Let's move on and do that. So the app bar has several parameters. The first one that I want to do is the title. Okay, so there is a title. And what I can do here, I can just pass a text because I just want to show something here, right? Then I can pass a text widget. And as you remember, the text widget also gets a parameter or an argument, which is a string, which I can say now weather, for instance, or workshop, let's say. And now I have workshop on the left. This is how app bar works. It's a default behavior on Android. And you get the default behavior of app bar on iOS as well. And this is the beauty of Flutter. You code here, and Flutter will render it in the same behavior and normal behavior of each platform for you. You don't need to think about it. So, and well, let's do one more thing here. So just learn this small trick from me. If you want to have a better formatting and let the compile or Dart formatting format everything for you automatically in a nice manner, at the end of all of your argument or parameters, add one comma like that. What's going to happen right now is, instead of having everything next to each other and having a lot of parentheses, then it will be formatted like this. And it will be nicer sometimes, like, because here I want to add some more properties and arguments, and it's going to be nicer to have it format. So let's move on and just give some style. What I'm going to do here, I'm going to add a style. We talked about it yesterday, and there is a widget called text style. And then what we can do, the text style, we can say what we want to do. What I want to do, if you check this, seems like the font is a bit lighter. It's not bold. So let's just have a font weight then. When I click here, these are named parameter, right? You remember from yesterday, right? So now we have font weight, and we're going to go ahead and add our font weight. Font weight class gives me all of these weights. And while I'm going to try maybe 300, and let's save it. Look at that there. Maybe I can make it bolder. Let's see if it works. Look at there. It's changing, right? But I think I like 300, which is similar to our UI at least. So one more comma, and it just try to, you know, easily formatted. All right, but let's go back to our design. We have here in our design a little icon on the right, and in app bar, those icons on the right called they will be calling actions. Okay, but then let's move on. Don't get lost. I am still in app bar, and here is my title. You see here, right? I'm going to move on after that and say actions. And I have now an array of action. So here I can add more actions. But I want to add one button, because that action is a button, which when I click, let's look at the app here. When I click, it has a ripple, even, you know, you see, it has a ripple behavior. So that's an icon for sure, icon button. So how I can add an icon button? This is a new widget for you today. Icon button. So that's it. So you need an icon button, then you have an icon button. Let's move on. So I need an icon button, and then here you go. I have an icon button, and you see immediately my editor says icon and unpressed are required, and they both comes here, and they are named parameters. And if I go there, I see that actually this one is required, this one is required, and the rest are not required. That's optional, right? We talked about it in Dart yesterday. So then move on and add your icon here. So how I can add an icon? There are a couple of ways for you to add an icon. Either you can load them as an SVG or something to your app and load them, or you can use built-in material icons. If you want to use the built-in material icons, which is already implemented in Flutter Material app, you just need to use icon. That's the widget to get an icon. Okay, I want to pass an icon, but then you need to pass with the icon here, you need to pass it. And the icon is icon data. So how I can pass an icon data? There is, as I told you, a set of material icons built into Flutter. So I need to pass one icon that I want. And how I can do that? There is an enum called icons. and then you have all of these icons, which are material icons. And if you don't know what they are, search or Google material app icons. You get a list of all icons. You go ahead and select what you want. I already know materials icons, some of them, and I know that I need setting. So I search for setting, and I get the settings. I choose that. Now when I save, here we go. You have an icon here. That's it. But when I click on this icon, I want something happening, right? So therefore, I need to create a function here. That could not be null. It must be a function, even though you don't want to do anything. Then it must be a simple function. And this is a function that you can create. And this function doesn't need to have name. That can be anonymous function. And this is the way that you create anonymous function in Dart. You learn from me again, one more new thing. Small, tiny tips that you need to know. So now I have this. What I'm gonna do, I just wanna maybe print something to console. Let's say click on setting icon. So, and what does it do right now? If I click on that icon, I must see in my console here, something is printing. And here you go. You see it says click on setting icon. So the click or tap on mobile is working, right? All right, so then now I have an action here. We're gonna go back, come back to this, and later we add navigator. When you click, it go to another page. But let's keep it here for now. But if I come back to the design, this is black. Or if I come back to the app, this is black. But what I have here, it's blue. Can I customize this app bar? You can customize anything in Flutter. And that's the beauty of Flutter widgets, especially the material ones. They have a lot of properties for you to customize them in any way. And one of the simplest way now to do that, that's the simplest one, is to change the background color, right? I can do that. So in where I should do that, in app bar, because that's the whole app bar. So I must just do here a background color, fine. And I just need to say which colors I want. I want a black color, not a white, sorry, black. Here we go. I get a black background. Two questions came up, and let's have this here. While you are looking at the app bar right now here, I will answer those questions. Look at this and just digest it, because we're gonna move on to the next part. One question is, how is ID different from this? Well, no ID is, all the IDs are almost similar. So you see what I see here in different IDs. You said you get the IntelliSense, everything. But you need to install Flutter and Dart plugin for all of your IDs. So, and another question is, will the button always be on the right corner? Yes, it will. It will be always on the right, but because as you see that this is action, and the action app bar on Android and iOS, usually it's on the right, right? So that's why it's on the right. But if it's on other platforms, which later, like for instance, let's say Flutter supports, then it might be on the left, and then it goes on the left. So that's fine. But your question, can I also, maybe you can ask this question, can I have an icon in the left? Yes, you can have. There is a property in app bar called leading, and then in the leading means first before the title. So you can have an icon over there. But we're not gonna go through that because it's similar to the actions, just you need to call, you need to implement on leading. So, all right. And let's move on to the next section, because we need to have this app for sure ready today, right? So what should we do? We should create, let's go back to our app. We should create this container maybe that has an image here, and that's a big number. And all right, so maybe I can, all right, but something is different here. Look at this here. I have a gradient background. It's starting from lightish gray to black. Am I correct? Everyone sees that? It's starting from lightish gray to black. I need to create this first. That is beautiful right now. See how I can customize my Flutter app to add a gradient button. Just look at this right now. You'll learn a lot right now. Okay, my body has container, and that has a text. The container is very powerful. Maybe it's one of those widgets that you're usually gonna use it. Like you see it quite often. And in this container, I have a property called decoration. I wanna actually decorate my container right now. I wanna actually say that instead of white, which is the default from theme, I wanna override it with some color. And that's actually a gradient color. And if you see in the app, it was a linear gradient. Look at, just pay attention to all of the words I'm saying. It's a linear gradient, and I want to decorate it. All right, and so I want to do it in container. Let's do that. So what I'm gonna do here, I told you in container there is a decoration. All right, and decoration needs a decoration class. For this decoration class is extended box decoration. So what I need here, I need box decoration. And box decoration gives me a lot of feature. I can do all of that. But look at this. What I need right now is gradient. I want to just do something. I want this box to be decorated with gradient color. So let's move on and have gradient. What type of gradient I said? Let's look at that one once more. You see it. It's from top to bottom. It's linear, isn't it? Am I correct? Then I should go ahead and use a linear rotator. So does Flutter has linear gradient? Perhaps always there is a widget for something. So perhaps it is. Then I can search, or my editor will help me. Let's give it a try. Yeah, here we go. I have linear gradient. Let's use it. And linear gradients tell me that, okay, now I have a bunch of properties. I have begin, top, end, button, and which type of color, where you want to start and end. Okay, let's say begin. I want to begin with, let's see what begin is. Begin is an alignment. Okay, it's an alignment. So I want to tell this where to start this alignment. I have an alignment then, alignment. It says it's an alignment. Okay, good. What is going to be started? Top. Top where? Left, right, center? Top, maybe let's go for center. Here we go. That's the first property. I still need end. Where should I end it? It's again alignment. But alignment to where? Bottom center maybe? Is that fair? And I need to have colors. I start from top center to bottom center, but which color? Let's move on. There is a colors button, and that accepts an array. Now it doesn't have any color, so it just shows white. But if let's add some colors. Let's add colors that green. And I need to have two color because I start from top to beginning. So let's say colors dot black. Let's see if it works. You see a little bit things over there on the text. And the reason is that container gets the child size. So I can now do two things. Either I can continue and implement my application get the whole size of the screen, or I can now add a size, height, and width to this container. For now, I'll go ahead and do that because I want to show you how you can use different properties. So container gets height. Let's add 100 for now, and width, let's add 200 for now. But it's weird, right? I cannot just say 100, 200. It's hard coded. I don't know, different devices have different sizes, so I cannot add like randomly a number, right? I want to just get the full size and width and full height on any screen, regardless. Okay, is there any way to do that? There is always a way to do that in Flutter. Just remember from me. For height, there is actually a class called media query. And media query has a function which can be called on media query class, which is .off. And .off gets context. Context is the page that you are in. And it's coming from the builder here on top. You see? Okay, good. So now on this media query off, I have size. I have a bunch of stuff, but what I have is size, and then I have height on the size. Very good. Then I have the full width. What if I do the same thing? Let's do it one more time. I have media query, and that has off, gets context as an argument, and it gives me size, and I need width. Here we go. And now I don't like actually green. Let's have gray. But yeah, gray is too bright. Can I do better? Oh yes, maybe I can use black. This, that's better. Or maybe I can do this. On gray, I have also shading. It just gives a little bit shading to that. Maybe I can use 500. Better. Maybe I can use 900. That's pretty much similar, isn't it? Let's check it out. Yeah, that's good. Okay, we are getting there. We are getting there. All right, very good. So then what should we do now next? All right, let's look at the design one more time. I have, okay, let's analyze it. I taught you yesterday, when you see a design, analyze it and just say to yourself some words, and then you will probably find some similar, widgets for that word. Okay. I want to analyze this. First of all, from from top to bottom of this screen, it's a column. Why? Because I have this row, this row, this row, this row, this row, and this row, right? So then I have a column. Then I know that at least to start, I have a column which has several rows or members. So let's get started from there. One by one, then you understand. Let me just remove that text and let's go for column. And column gets children. We talked about it yesterday, right? Nice. So now I can actually add back this text. It's not a problem. So now it's coming here. I can continue on doing that. You see some, I can, let's quickly change style, text style, and color, and then colors is white. I just want to use seat. You see? So it's coming to the column. Okay, that's good. But then what I want to do is in the first member in the column, I want to actually load icon. And that icon is not actually an icon, it's just a picture. It's just an image, right? I want to load an image. All right, that's now beautiful. Let's get to that. Let's first of all check it out once more. That's again, it's a widget. All right. Let me go back to that widget and create that. So let's move on. I already have this widget in my here homepage. Sorry, not here. Let me, maybe I can actually make a screenshot here. Yeah, I can make a screenshot. Let's imagine that someone gives you this image, for instance. I want to actually copy it from my design. So this is a picture that I have. Okay. You look at this here. I have this image here already. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna copy this image. Where? That's important to understand right now. Let's pause for 5 seconds. We're going to talk about image. We're going to talk about static assets. When you want to load the static assets to Flutter application, you need to define them in PuppetSpec YAML file. Where you define them is here under Flutter. And there is already an example here. It says that you have, if you want to add something to the bundle, you can have, you can add it here. All right. So I want to do the same thing right now. Let's create an image, but where should I create this folder? You need to create it in the root of your application, where the lib is. I want to create a folder here and I want to create a folder here and call it assets. And I want to create an image folder here, images. I want to add all of the images to this folder. And now I want to copy that image. Let me do that. I want to copy that image to this folder. So now under image, I have this. To make sure you understand better, let me just add git keep. Okay. So now I have assets folder, and then under that I have images, and then I add my snow PNG file. So then let's move on here. Then in this lines, I need to define that. So here, snow PNG, but it's, if you remember, it's under assets, images, snow. And you know, even my editor say, yeah, I found it. It's fine. Fine. So now I have this image. Very good. So, and let's move on to my homepage. Now, let's move on to our app. Now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna load an image. Yes, let me repeat it once more because it's very important. To add static assets, you need to define it in PuppetSpec YAML file. And under Flutter, there will be an asset property. So you need to define them here as an array. This is the way that you write PuppetSpec YAML. And this is a YAML file. So this is the way that you define your path to the picture. It's asset, but let's find it out. Assets folder. I created an assets folder. If you start right now, you don't have this folder. You need to create it yourself. It doesn't matter if it's assets folder or something else, but convention, it says assets. I go ahead and created assets. And then I created another folder called images, and I add my image to that. And this is the path for that. So from now on, Flutter will copy this folder to the app bundle. That's it. So now you can actually load this picture. So let's move on to here. Let's load it, and you'll see the picture. So here, what I'm gonna do in the first children here, on top of this text, I want to add a picture. How I can add a picture? That's simple. So there is an image, and on the image, let's have this. So you have several options. So because you want to load this image from your local app folder, asset folder, and that's a static folder under your app, and it's not something somewhere else on the internet or something like that, then you need to say this is coming from assets. Assets means from that folder. All right. And then now you need to say where the path for that file, which for that image is. What is the path? I defined it in PuppetSpec YAML file. Here is my path. I just copy this, come back here, paste it here, do that. You're gonna get this picture. I'll go ahead and remove this so I don't need them. You now load a picture, right? But you can also, if you look at the design again, let's move on to design. The picture has some padding on top and it's a bit smaller. Can I make it, can I have a size for the picture? Yes, you can have. So on the assets image here, you can have height, or you can have widths, and you can give a height here, 90, for instance, or 70, or 80. So just play with that size, see which one is better for you. And how I can add these padding? Well, there are a couple of ways to do that. First thing I want to do is I can maybe wrap it to a container. So, and give a size to container. Another thing is maybe I can give a little bit of padding to this. So let's maybe add a container for now. Just make it simple. So container, good, and that gives a child. And you see there is no difference right now. But the only difference is that in container, I can have either padding or I can have height. So I said that this is the height, maybe 200, and it comes down because the container gets a height right now. So you go ahead and do probably the same thing. Okay, I'll send you this picture. I'll send you this picture to this Zoom so you can download it and play with it. Or let me, I'll send a link right now and then you can download. When you want to play, you can play with that. So what I want to do right now, I talked about 45 minutes right now. We built an app bar, we built everything for the beginning. So what I want you to do is to run your editor right now, go ahead and try to implement the same thing. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna push this code right now so you see it on your machine somewhere. So I'll send you the link, both links to the image and as well as to this implementation right now. So, but you start right now your application. I give you 10 minutes to start trying doing this stuff. Create a folder, screens, create a screen folder, create your class home screen, move everything from main to home screen and do everything right now. So please go on and do something. Doesn't matter if it's exactly the same, but do something right now. It's important that you play with this code. So meanwhile, I answer questions and I also send you the file for the picture. Give me a second. Please bear with me. So here is the link to this image. So please use this. So a couple of questions here I answer when you are doing that little task right now. Let me also create this gist file for you. Please do not be still, just do something, play with this, look at this screen and try to create the same thing. I sent you also the link. And let me just go ahead and say whether Flutter workshop 10, 20. And here is going to be a Dart. So I'll move on and copy this here, homepage. So those of you that need to look at the code, that's the thing we've done so far. Just look at this here, and this is our home page. And it's important for me to do it for home page. So a question from here, can we use media query in height and width of image? Well, you can technically, but why do you need to do that? Do you want to create an image like full size? Yes, maybe you can do that for sure. But there are also other options which you're gonna probably you'll play with that when you play with image, like you have fit covers and other properties that makes this widget full screen. But yes, you can do that, no problem. So I sent you already the snow file, and sir, can we do the design row by row? Well, that's a good question. Someone says, can we do it row by row? Yes, but this row should be somewhere, right? Where should it be? I cannot add it to container because I have several rows, and container just gets child. The only widget that gets several row and it has children is column. So I need a column. So that's it. So that's why you need a column. So you are building row by row, but definitely you need column because you need several rows to add them, right? And are all these widgets are created by developers? Yes. What do you mean developers? Yes, of course, all built by developers. Like you mean scaffold, app bar, and these containers? Yes, it's built by developers in Google, but then we are extending to our component, to our widgets, which is home screen, for instance, is my widget, I created. So you are creating home widget, you are creating something, yes. And how do an image as a background? So you can actually have a container in decoration instead of, you can do that, you can, well, it's a bit advanced to do that. There are several ways, let's say. One way is to use a stack. I don't want to go through stack right now because it makes you very confused about this stack stuff. So, but at the end of this, let's say this session, if we get time, I really like to implement animation first, and then I go through that. So maybe we implement the background and you see how we can do that. For sure, we can do that. All right, so you've got 10 minutes. If you need more time, let me know. If you don't need time, we can continue perhaps to another part. Yes, you can use from a link. Someone asked, can I use from a link? Yes, you can. I sent you a link actually for picture, right? Instead of assets, you can now say, instead of asset, you can now say network. But it goes away because network means HTTP. And here is where I can add this. Oh, sorry, I just messed up. Okay. Here I can actually add these network requests. But for purpose of having this workshop, let's do it in assets because I want to keep everything in assets. I need to click on that. Let me just move this here. Okay. So let me just refresh to make sure because it just threw an error. Yes, here you go. So you can do that. Oh yeah. Can you show us main? Yes, here is the main. Okay, maybe I should also create this main for you. So in the same gist that I gave you, I'm going to add a main file as well. Main.dart. And this is homepage in screens, lip, screens, homepage, screen.dart. All right. So I'm going to update that so you see. Please check this gist again. I add main and I also added home screen, which we are working right now. So now you have both. You can look at the code. I deliberately didn't add as a Dart file here, so though you don't have any, I want you to try it in the editor. You'd look at that just as a reference, but try to do it yourself. That's why I added to this gist without any styling. I deliberately did that. Good. Let's move on. So we've been in homepage, right? Here is, let's remove everything. Okay, we are here in homepage. So now we are adding our first container, right? I want to give you a tip right now. So if I want to add all of these widgets now to this column, it will become very, very long page. Either I can create different files and create these widgets over there, or I can create it here in this file and reference to that. Let's do how I can clean this widget right now. Instead of this container and image, which I created here, I can remove that and go to the class level. Here is my class. And if you move down here in the class, I can define a method which is returning a widget. And let's call it snow icon. And this is going to return the same thing that you have. Why did I use underscore? Anyone remember about underscore yesterday I mentioned? Yes, it creates this method private, which means later you cannot access it anywhere else, which is good, which is what I need, because I want to use it just here in my column. And instead of those lines, I'm just gonna go and call this method. And that does the same thing. But the only difference is that it makes my code cleaner. It's not a huge file right now. I can also create this in a different file if I need to reuse this later in other screens. That's how you create reusable widgets, right? You create something that is going to be used somewhere else. Let's move on and implement that big temperature. By the way, now I'm just hard coding things, but in less than an hour, we load data from one API, and then we just change that to those API which is coming. But it's a bit soon to do it right now. Let's move on. Let's move on to the next slide here. I want to create this temperature here, minus 10. Okay, let's do that. I can, you learn right now, right? You can create a widget function here. I can create another one. I say maybe temp or temperature. And what I'm gonna do here quickly, I'm gonna return a container for now. That's the safest thing I can do for now. And then I wanna load this for sure under snow, right? That's my second row. So that's my row 1 and that's my row 2. All right, okay. So now let's implement the temperature here. Starting from this container. Let's move on and do a child, because the first thing I see here is a text -10. I want to create that -10. So let's move on to our app. Let's see how it goes. So what that was a text only, right? Just say -10. And all right, it comes, but it's black, so that's why you don't see it. So let's add a style to it, text style. And text style, remember, it gets color. Color, and colors white. Good. Now I have 10. But I want 10 to become larger. What do I need? Font size. And then I have font size. I can actually give a font size a number, like I can say 90. Wow, that's maybe quite big, but it's good enough. Maybe let's do it a bit smaller. Okay, good. Then, but it's not very bold. It's very bold right now. Maybe I need lighter. What was it? Font weight. Then I'll go ahead and say font weight 200. Yeah, that's better. And maybe even, yeah, that's even better. So now I have my -10. Everything right now, you see, it's going to the center, right? Because that's the default behavior right now in my application. But what I want to do, I don't want everything to become center. I want everything to start from left. So in column, I have a property called main axis alignment, and you have main axis alignment, which gives you several options. Where do you want to start or have that? And then if I say start, then everything must go to center. If it doesn't, because somewhere I have maybe center value, maybe it's homepage. No. There is also another property sorry, that's a start. That's a starting from top because this is a column. But now, boy, I want to have cross axis alignment. Cross means this way. Now I want to have cross alignment, cross axis alignment, and that gives me cross axis alignment. And then I can say start from start. Now everything comes to the left. That's good. So I start from top. That's the default behavior, by the way. And I start from left. And that's the cross axis. So cross axis in column talk about left and right. And main axis talking about top and bottom and the height, let's say. So let's move on. But now I want to actually center my snow because this one I want it to be center, right? What I can do here, I can use, that's a new widget you are learning right now. Instead of this, I can use center, and that gives me a child, and I can paste everything here. Now I can center this. Simple, isn't it? Let's move on to text. Text is okay, but as you see here, I need a little bit of padding because it's very, very attached to the left. And on container, I have padding, which you remember yesterday, we have edge inset class that gives you where do you want to add this padding. Where do you want to add this padding right now? You have only, and only gives you left, right, top, bottom. And you can specify one by one. If you say all, it gives to the all of this direction one size that you are passing. But if you say only, then you get it from left, right, top, bottom. Now I want to just specify left. And then I say left and maybe 20. Better. Right? Good. So this is pretty much what I want. Let's go ahead and implement the next row. Okay, I have London. This is my location. I have a location here. Let's add a location here. So what do I need to do? This is my column, right? My page right now. I can create a function here, location. And let's go and implement that here. Oh, sorry, here. Which is returning a location, and that returns a container, which is what I want. Okay, now I have that. Let's move on and actually implement it. Again, I hard-coded here, but later we fetch it from API and show it that way. So, but let's look at that once more. In location, I have UK London, and I have an icon. What does this remind you? I have one row, right? And that has two elements, two widgets. So what do I need to use? I need to use row, right? So row gives me row with different column or members for the column. Let's do that. So now I have children. I'm going to go for row. And I have now children's. That's the way I can actually define now several things. What do I need first? Icon. And the icon that I want to load is icon from material. Let's do that. Icon dot icons dot. Is it map, or it could be map, right? Yeah, well, it's coming, but it's black. I need to change the color, and the color is white. Yes, but that's not the color I want. Okay, probably is place. Here we go. Yeah, that's what I want. That's what I want. All right, good. So, and then it has a text. All right, so the text says London, UK, or let's say India, or whatever, doesn't matter. So, and then again, if I click, it doesn't come because it's black. And then I need to change the style. And that's text style. Then I go ahead and do color, and then color, maybe white. Here it comes. And let's change font size a bit, make it bigger. Font size, and make it a bit bigger, and it's maybe 18. And let's do font weight a bit, and that's font weight a little bit lighter. Yeah, that's better. But then if you look at this here right now, it's again attached very much to the left. I just need a little bit of padding here. So I'm going to go ahead and do a padding on container, and says edge inset dot left. Let's say, what was the other one? 20 maybe. Yeah, here we go. That's good. That is where I wanted to start. Good. So we're almost done with this part. Let's move on to the design and go to the next row. Another row here I have date and one simple, let's say, text says snow turned to cloud or something like that. But first I need a date. That's another row. You see how I'm analyzing? One row, one row, one row. Today is one row, snow is one row. These are different rows. I'm gonna go ahead and do that. So let's quickly do that. So let's say this is date. And let's implement now date function. That is returning again. Let's move on. That was a text only, right? So maybe I can do. That's actually a couple of things. It's there. Let's look at that. So it has today, and it has a number. So again, it's two things in one row. So then I need what? Help me. Write in chat. I need which widget? First, I need a container because I want to give that I want to give that a padding, and that is going to be, because I don't want to stick it to the left. Let's do it 20 maybe. Sorry, left 20. Okay. So can someone help me say that these containers have what type of widget? Because I need something that has two member. What is that something? It's two. Okay, it's two member, but it's not. Look at that. I need one row. Exactly. I need one row that creates me a one row, but that row can have several, can be split to the several parts, right? So I need a row here, and that's a children. Now the children, the first one is a text which says today. And the second one is again a text which is the date today. That is exactly that row, right? But again, this is annoying. This is like, let's say, not white. So I'm going to give it a style here, text style. and this is a text style, and say color, and colors is white. Here you go. And I do the same thing for this one as well. You see, when I say row, they come after each other in one row. And that's where you need row, right? Can I have a column inside a row? Yeah, you can have. You can have everything inside everything, but you need to think about the layout before you use them. That's important. So let's move on and do this today a little bit better, first of all. And first of all, it's very, there is no space here. Let me just give a little bit of space to the top, maybe 20. That's too much, 10. That's better. Yeah. And let's go to the today one. It was bold, actually. So I'm going to go ahead and add bold to that. That was font weight, and font weight is a class which is a enum that I can use, like maybe 700. That's better. And the second one, it's, well, if you look at actually the second one, let's move on to the design. It seems like today it's not white. It's a bit gray. So now I need to, it's white with opacity. So what I can do here, I can go ahead and in today say it's a gray instead, but it's too much gray maybe. It's fine. And then we can go to the date and then say font size. That was a little bit smaller. Okay, that's better. That's better. But there is one thing is missing here. Who can help me to find it out? If you look at this date here and this date here, there is something missing here. Yeah, delete a little bit of space. That's correct. There's a little bit of a space. So how can I add a space between this and this? Two ways you can do that. I tell you the second way because I want you to learn one more widget from me today. You can add a sized box here. Sized box. And sized box is a widget that gets width and height. And I just need widths only here. And I can say 10. And that gives me a little bit of space. And that's it. Another way was to add a padding to this text. But I want to learn also size box because it's quite, quite handy. All right. Very good. So I achieved what I want at this part. Another one is this little description. Let's move on and do this little description here. So let's analyze it again. That little description, it's if you look at that, it doesn't have almost anything. It's just a text. So I don't need to split it to anything else. So then I can directly use a text here. So I can say a text, and let's say, what was the text? This was snow turn to clouds. And let's move on to our app. But it's again, it's black, it's white. I need to make it style. I need to text style. And I need to give a color, and color can be colors.white. And here is the way we format. And I want to add a little bit padding again. So how did we do that? We created a container, or we can have maybe a padding. But this time, again, I'll go for a container maybe to be consistent. But let's also have this as a function. Let's say here, description, and let's move on here and create that returns a widget, and the name is description, And that's going to return a container which has a child, and that child is technically the text that I just copied. And it seems that I misspelled container. Okay, and in container I can have a padding, again, edge inset dot only left and 20. Here we go. So I also need a little bit from top, maybe 5. That's probably better, or maybe 3. Yeah, that's better. That's good. So far, we achieved a lot of layouting stuff. And the beauty of this is that these are mainly the widgets that I told you yesterday. I told you yesterday the thing that you're learning, it's quite useful, and you're gonna use that quite a lot, and you are using that right now. You see, I'm not using anything extra almost, and if I do sometimes, I deliberately use it because I want to show you another widget. You learn it. So now the last 2 parts are list view builder, which we worked yesterday. So we're gonna create that. Let's see how we can achieve that. But before that, I'm gonna copy this back to my GIST. Let's move on, and you have 10 minutes. And please, in 10 minutes, this is the link of GIST in the chat. Open it up. Try to create at least one of these extra widgets, just one of them. Doesn't matter which one you want to try. Just try to do something. And if you have now a question, it's the time to ask. Any question? Is there some way to format all the text at once? My gradient is kind of broken. It's not smooth. How to fix? I'm not sure when you say the first question, is there some way to format all the text at once? Yes. Usually when you install you need to know which shortcut you need to use in your editor. In my editor, if I get Command Shift L, it gives me automatically a formatting of the page. So you need to find it out on your editor. Okay, I'll look at that gradient. Sure, no problem. Instead of changing font color inside the method, can we use it in column? Can we do it in the column children? Well, no, but you can do one more thing. Instead of doing that, every time now I am doing font size, font color, blah, blah. You can do it actually in the theme level in material. That's one thing you can do. Or another thing is that instead of text, you create your own widget, call it my text, and that returns a text which accepts a title, and then also add a style out of the box. Do you want me to do that quickly? Yes. Look at this here. It's a text that accepts a text, and it just tests the text style is the color is white. Instead of this, I want to go ahead and create another class. I want to call it my text. Let's do that in here. My text. My text widget dart. So I created a file that's going to be class my text widget extends stateless stateless widget, and then now I have build, and that is going to return text. Okay, but I don't want to return every time this text. I want to change it to different one. I want to accept a title. So here, my constructor, you remember from yesterday, and the title is going to be this dot title, and then I'm going to define my title here, say the title is a string and it's final. So now I created a widget that the name is my text widget. Every time I pass it a title, it just render a text with this text, and it's also adding white to that. I can go ahead and also add font size and accept font size. And also I can add font weight and accept font weight. And I need to now define these two, font weight, font size, and then two more, here, here. But font, but font weight is font weight, and font size is double. And now I have a very dynamic widget. Do you want me to use that? Be active in the chat. I want to see all of your comments. Let's move on here. So I created a widget in different file, right? So now I want to actually replace this one with my widget, which is rendering a text. Let's look at this here. And I want to use that here. I have a title. Okay, so I need to remove this. First of all, let me copy this. I don't need to read. I want to remove that, and now I use my widget. But now I need to import my widget. I go on the top, import from where? From one more down, and this text. Good. You got it? Let's move on and then go to my widget. Where was it? My widget, my text widget here. Now I have title, and I can pass, that's beauty, that I can just pass this text instead of anything else. Look at this, nothing will change. Nothing will change. There is nothing to change. But if I now go and change this to black, then it becomes black, or green, and becomes green, right? But I need white. It becomes white. If I want to change okay, why did I create font size and font weight? Because if I now go ahead and use this instead of this today, let's just simply do that. My text, I want to pass today, and today is as a title, and I want to pass this font weight and this is the font weight I use. See, now it's becoming white, but I can also pass color. Let's go to the text widget. This is my text widget. I can pass color, and that could be color, and it's color, right? But now it's hard-coded as white. Learn this from me right now, a shortcut. I want this color, but I don't want it's become black because I didn't pass it from other side. I want to say if color is null, it doesn't have value. If I don't say that, just do something instead of that as a default color. And in Dart, you say this with this. Question mark, colors, white. What does it do? Let's take a moment and learn that. It's important. You'll see it quite often. It's going to go and it's going to check if this color is null. And if it's null, it says this question mark says if it's null, ignore that and just say white. That's it. That's the way you make default colors white. Okay. Now, if I come back here, I want today to have a different color. Now I can pass color, and my color was color.gray, right? Or green. But if I don't pass it, it becomes white. You got it? And someone asked, why not giving default value here? That's also another option. So instead of doing this, I really want you to learn this, because you know already you can do that here. You already can do that, right? Well, that's not interesting for me. I want you to learn this operator. So I want to learn this operator. The responsive in all mobile context, yes. Someone asked if the value that we are providing to size, height, blah, 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 are they adaptable in all the screens? In mobile, yes. But for web and other stuff, you need to do something else. We're not going to talk about that. But for mobile, yes, it's adaptable. That's why you don't say here 10 rem, 10 pixel, 10 something. Well, it will be based on some factor of the screen size, height of the device, and it will be that value. And that is point based on the screen pixels. So don't worry about that. So we're not going to talk about those details. It's not important. Let's move on to our next implementation, where we are. We're going to implement this. This seems like a list builder. Seems like I have a row here that is rendering a couple of stuff, and it's just scrolling. We talked about it yesterday, right? It's list view builder. So still, this is a stateless widget. Still, this is a stateless widget for now, because it just want to render this. And what does this have? This is a list builder that is rendering these columns. Look at these columns. Now on top, icon, a number, icon, number, icon, number. This is a column and have several, 3 rows. So we're going to move on to, that's the only one that I'm going to right now do that for you. And then the rest of that, you need to do it yourself. We're going to then move on to creating a page navigator. And then we're going to move on to call HTTP. And then we are done for today. So bear with me. Let's do that so you see a list builder and it reminds you some stuff. So I want to create, that is, what is it? Let's look at that. That's somehow like an hourly weather info, right? 7, 8, 9, blah, 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 blah. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and create hourly weather info. And I want to create this widget function here. Widget. Okay. That needs to return, for now, let's return a container to remove that error. Okay. So what I'm going to do, look at that design. This container has one border on top, one border on the bottom, right? So let's look at this, how we can add a border. In container, I told you, if you want to decorate your container, you have what? Decoration. And that decoration gives you, you need to use box decoration to decorate that, right? So it doesn't do anything for now, but in the box decoration, you have border. That's good. And for border, you have border class. That's good. And if you look at that here, let me just do it once more. Border. It gives me left, right, top, bottom. Where do I want to add this border? Top and bottom. Yes, no problem. Container is a very helpful widget. You almost can do everything with container. Many times you need to do that. Someone asked, is it good practice to use container? Yes, no problem. You can do that. There might be another way to do that though. So I'm not saying always, but containers is pretty helpful widget. And that was the first thing I told you. So let's do our border. So border side, it's the class for that. And I need to now say which color I want that. And the color could be color white. Now I got a color. Okay, that's good. Look at this parentheses here. I told you a tip. How can we fix this? Just adding 1 comma after each. Then you get this formatting. I'm gonna go ahead and now I add a top. I wanna add also bottom. And that gets border side. A border side is a class that you can define color, width, and style. So I'm gonna go for color dot white. Now it will come just on top of that because I don't have any child. It just button and right now it's the same thing because it doesn't have height. But let's add one height maybe to a container, and it's maybe 100. Okay, that's good. Also, it has a little bit padding on top. So let's do an edge only top 10. Yeah, it's actually margin. Yes, you learned another thing. Padding, give a padding from inside of the container, but margin, give a margin on a space above the container, outside of the container boundary. So move on. Let's move on. So I created this widget, and this it is pretty similar to that, except the color is not white here, though it's very white here. Maybe I can use something else. Let's use something else. Maybe it's gray. It's not gray, but maybe I can do on each color, you have a method to add an opacity. And that is with opacity. Now you add opacity, which is a fraction from 1. So this is the opacity that I'm adding. So with opacity for another one, and let's add 3. That's pretty similar right now. All right, I'm done with this container, and then now I need to add, this decoration here. I need to add my child. And my child is going to be a list view. And I told you about builder is going to create a builder, and that builder is just a method which has context and index. We talked about it yesterday, and that's going to return at the moment it's going to return just a container, nothing. Let's do nothing. Let me just format for you. It doesn't do anything at the moment. I'll tell you shortly how you can add that. So what I want to create right now is I have context and index, that's fine, but I want to create a container here that has maybe a width. Let's quickly do one container. Let me just also tell you this right now before that. Technically, a list view will build several same widgets from the builder. That means it's going to create this, but based on the length of an array that you are going to pass to this. And how you can pass that, you can define it here, item count, and you can define your array. So an array is like this. So now my array is empty, but what if I say 1 and 2? That's the time. And actually it was now 7, 8, and so on. That is here now 7, 8. Actually this has 0, 7, 0, 1. Okay, let's do that just to show you how we do that. But then after that we're gonna call an API and get the real data. So let's implement that. So I have a container, and the container width, I have now 3 members. I want each of them has a size. So I give them a size, maybe, I don't know, 50. If it's small, I'll change it later. And then it's gonna have a child. Okay. A new widget from me today. Learn it. I'm gonna have for each of these containers as a child, there is a widget called card. It creates a card for you. Just simple. It's a material card. So you can add title, like top, button, and center, body. So let's do that. So let's create a card. And let's do a color for that. I just want to make it transparent. I don't want any color. And if I now just do that, let's maybe create green. All right. For now, I want to show you like how the color will work. And by the way, one more thing here. This is actually scrolling horizontally, and this one is going vertically. And yesterday, if you remember, we had list view, and it was vertical. But how can I achieve this? Okay. That's the thing you need to learn right now. List view builder can give you scroll direction. And a scroll direction, you can say which axis you want to scroll, horizontal, vertical. I just want to now say, go please horizontal. I want to create that horizontal. All right, good. Let's move on to my card. And my card's gonna get a child. And this child, again, maybe could have a column, right? Because this column is going to have a number on top, something in let's say middle, it's an icon, and then it's going to have a text. Let's have a column. And now I want to add text on top. So I can use my widget, my text widget. So then I don't need to just say this is white and something. So my widget gets a text. So for now, I hard coded my name or my number 1. And sorry, my widget gets actually title. Yes, good. And then I need an icon, which is an icons. I was a cloud, right? So I think we have cloud. Yeah, we do have cloud. It's a cloud or cloud something. Let's move on. And let's also have that's an icon. I'll come back to that to optimize it a bit. And then I have a text on the bottom which says, let's look at the design. It says the temperature. Okay, that's for now hard code. Again, I'm going to use my text widget, which I created. So I'm going to use that and say title -1. Just hard code it for now. So then later we can we can see how we can use that. So let's see if I use this. Yeah, I used it here. And okay, that's good. Seems now we got it to work. Let me just refresh one more time. So make sure that everything is correct. Okay. So what else do I need to do? I need to do here. It seems that I have an error here somewhere. Let's do one more time. Meanwhile, ask a question until it's compiling again. Seems like something is stuck in here, so it doesn't do hot reloading. Maybe I should start again. Let me just stop and do that. My computer today is acting a bit weird. That's my computer, no worries. You should not have this problem. I have several problems with my different applications. So any questions so far? I can check the, yeah, so let's reload that. I can check the chat at this meanwhile. Okay, so now I got my container. So this is my container. And why it's green? Because I told so. That's it. But I don't want it to be green. I want to be maybe black. Or maybe not, none of them, transparent. Yeah, no color. I just want to show you like how you can achieve like the same thing that you can do with container now. You can do it even with card, and you have maybe more options. And maybe behind the scenes, card is using container. You know, you can check it out actually. So, but then let's do that. The icon doesn't load because I need to give it a little bit of color, I think. So let's do that and say color is white. It's colors. Here you go. So can we try different clouds? Cloud circle, no. Cloud done. Yeah, that's funny. Cloud Q. Oh, this is actually the icon is here, right? Yeah. Good. So what else do we want to do here? We need to do some padding here. But another thing you will learn from me today, on column, instead of telling that I want to give a padding between my elements, you can say, take a space as much as possible and give the space. But how I can do that? In the column here, I told you that we have main axis, right? Main axis is from like the height. And I can say now main axis alignment could be a space between. And that means technically take up the whole space. You see that what happened? Let me remove. It was all like right after each other. But when I say take the space, it just makes the space automatically. So you don't need to think about it afterwards. Or if I say space around, it will be around. And I think now it's even cleaner or better. You have a little bit of space on top. Or if I have, say, a space evenly, you get it evenly, like even for 3 of them, divided by 3 and then a space. So now I think I can have maybe a space between. That's on top and bottom, or maybe a space around is better. Space around. Okay. So far, so good. If I get a list like that, and if I now, instead of hard coding this, pass an element, so I think we are done with this part, right? First thing you need to learn is that this is an array and it's coming one by one to this builder. That's why you have index. So therefore, I move this array to just here, say temp array, or let's call it times. And that could be a list of a string. Okay, and instead of that, let's use this here. Same thing, nothing happened. I just moved this array to top because then here, this is going to be my array element. You see what happened right now? And this is going to be my temperature element, but I don't have temperature at the moment, but I can have one. I can say temps, and let's have -1, -2, -10. And why it's so cold? Because I'm from Oslo, and Oslo right now is -2. So it's a bit cold. So now I can say instead of that, if I get the first element here now, it's giving me the first element here, which is -1. So that's good. So I can say temp, and then I get that. This is pretty similar to this. Very good. Except that I don't have the whole day because I just hard-coded the data here. All right, now the fun part will begin, which is fetching data in real time and parse it, serialize it, deserialize it, and then show it on the screen. And that's the part that we're gonna start in 10 minutes. So I'm gonna give you 10 minutes. I'll copy everything again back to the GIST, just for your reference. Again, that's the GIST. What I want you to do is to just quickly, again, check it out, try it, look at that, see what you can do. And let's then move on and implement HTTP request. And if you have a question, just ping me right now in the chat. Yes, sure, I'll do that now. I think I copied all of them, didn't I? Sure, I'll look at your problem right now. Just give me a second. Yeah, it seems when you created for the gradient Nippon, if I correctly pronounce your name, it seems like you didn't actually get the container in the beginning and didn't give that media query size for height and width, and that's why you have that right now. Or another thing might be that you are giving wrong, you are using a wrong maybe gradient widget. Maybe it's not linear. So can you look at the, or maybe you can paste your code somewhere, I can look at that. Or you look at my GIST right now. So the third file you want me to copy is this my widget. My text widget. It's under, it's just my text widget.dart. I added to the GIST, just refresh and you get all the 3 files. Why are we using list instead of array? Well, that's in Dart, so arrays are list, the name is list, so that's why. List would output the data in a sort of manner, and that might change the order out of our data. List would output the data in this sorted manner, and that might change in order. I'm not sure what you exactly mean, but we really want that order as well. And that's why we use list. So we want this order for sure. Let me quickly check your code. And yes. Are you using, by the way, iOS for a gradient part? Is it Android? Okay, interesting. Because you look, your code looks like what we did. Okay, let's let's debug it after the class together. Okay. Because it might be related to the API version, and oh, that's interesting. But let's debug it. Let's debug it afterwards. So let's debug it afterwards, because I'm using the latest API for Android, and maybe that might be a bug or something. So let's debug it after the class. So let me deliver everything for you, and then we can go ahead and debug it together. Son, very good. So let's move on to what we want to tell you. Okay. What I want to tell you right now, it's maybe one of the most important part of these sessions is that to fetch data, parse it, and then render it to the screen. And then for the first time, we're going to use a stateful widget. And what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to go ahead and install HTTP library. So first, let me bring my browser here. I told you that we have pop.dev. And to find the package, you can just search HTTP. That makes an HTTP call. And here is an HTTP library. And then you see that how you can use that here. So you have a URL, you post, get, delete, REST API if you're familiar with that. Not going to go through that. Don't worry about it. What I'm going to do here, I'm going to use this library. That's the standard library for Flutter from Flutter team. No worries. You can use it easily. So then go to installing, copy that, and let's go back here. Let me move this here. Now let's go to pop.spec. Add it to dependency. And it's going to install it, right? Or if it doesn't, just run in your terminal, run flutter pop get. Done. Now you have installed the library. Let's move on to the, let's actually import it and use it. What we want to do. Let's just think about it right now. What we want to do is we want to go through an API. An API is, let me just move on and bring this here again. One of my colleagues, let's say, gives me, one of the backend developers said that, okay, if you want to get this weather info, you need to go to this URL. And then here you get some data. Okay? And that's something that you usually get from your backend developer or from team or from documentation from some, websites. And we want to actually get this data. That is a JSON format. And there are different ways to get data, different formatting, different type of get content, let's say. But what we are getting right now is a JSON. So just if you're not familiar with this type and these things, don't worry. Just get this from me that JSON is this format, and we need to parse it and use it in the app. So most likely, most of the APIs you receive are JSON. Maybe 95% of the APIs in the internet are JSON, the format that they're sending to you. So it's quite popular. Let's move on and get this data from this API. Okay. Before that, let me again repeat how I installed my package. I found it on pop.dev. I went to installing tab. I copied the latest version. That's what I did. I opened my pop-spec YAML file. I went to dependency and I added under that. That's it. And then afterward, I installed it. How? I said flutter pop get. That's it. Now I'm moving to use this package. First thing first, I don't want to pollute my widget with data fetching. So I'd rather to create a file and put everything regarding that fetch in that file. Let's do that. Let's create a folder here called data. And let's create a file, say, weather data provider. .dart. By the way, this name is pretty probably common, so you'll see that later in different apps. So I created a file. So far, so good, right? I now want to import from the library that I installed. I want to import package. I installed the package, and that was HTTP, and that's getting me http.dart. And now I have HTTP. And I can also name this, also one small tip for you. If you want to name this package as one thing and then use that one thing .call to get all of those methods that is imported, you can say as HTTP. I call it, for instance, HTTP. And that's what I did. So now I can use HTTP dot whatever, like respond, like whatever it's under that library. So I put everything here to this little container called HTTP. That's what I did right now. And that's a small tip. Sometimes it's nice because it doesn't pollute your code. You have one tiny things to just always come. And everyone knows that, oh, what is this? I understand it. So now let's create a method. Let's say fetch weather info. This method is going to fetch the data. Sorry. From an API. Okay. What you need to do, you need to call http.get because you want to get something from that API. And I copy the API from here again and paste it here. That's it. So far, you're just getting this data. But you need to, one thing you need to know, the get method gives you a feature and it gives you a respond object. Okay. So that means I need to wait for that, right? So to do that, we learned yesterday, we can say async here. So I make this function async. Sorry. And then here I can say final HTTP. What does it give to me? Response. And then I call it respond and await for that. What did I do? I called this method with this URL. I waited for the response, and then whatever it comes, I assign it to a variable called res, which is an HTTP response object. That's it. So next thing you want to do is you can return this response, for instance, and then use it somewhere else. And that gives you the whole response object, but that's not useful. One thing you want to do is to actually decode your formatting. Let's actually see what is this giving to me right now. Let's print this. Open up terminal here, and I want to call maybe here, or not here. Let's do it here, doesn't matter. Let's import it. I don't need this, by the way. I can say like that as well. Okay, so you see here, it says instance of response because I'm printing response. And if I now go say dot, I see there are a couple of things here. If I say a status code, let's see what is giving me. What is giving me is 200. 200. Tell me right now in the chat, who knows HTTP status code 200 means? What does that mean? Anyone knows? Yes. Okay. Status code 200 means success. So seems like our call is successful. Let's have that actually here. Let's say if response code is 200, then do something. Otherwise throw an error because I don't know, something is wrong. Through an exception and tell me failed. But now we want to implement success here, right? What do we want to do? Print, respond. I need body here. Let's look at the body. Sorry. What we are receiving is that little things that we asked, the JSON one. But we don't want that one. We need to decode that because this is a JSON and it's not something that we want. We need to turn it to different things, which can be used in Dart. So what we need to do is we need to decode this. Let's do that. How can we decode this? I go ahead and say, let's say final body, and that's going to be JSON decode. And then I pass my body. Now I'm passing body decode here. And then let's print that. Let's see the difference. You see the difference right now. It doesn't have these quotations. That's the previous one. This is the another one. JSON decode or JSON.decode is the same thing. So I use JSON decode. Let's move on. Now I can return this. Now it's fine. But the problem is that I'm returning, actually, look at that. I'm returning a dynamic. This is dynamic. Let's see what the problem is then afterwards. So let's say this is dynamic. All right, that's returning something. And of course, in my home screen here, I can use that. By the way, that's not a good practice to do it here. I just did it for you to learn, but it's not a good thing to do it here. I remove that. Then what's the good thing? In order to make sure you are doing that, you don't just call this method several times and just spam your backend or just unnecessarily like render something. So you need to do it in a safer place. And the safer place in the widget is where you set up for the first time state. But in a stateless widget, you cannot do that. So you need to have a stateful widget. And once that is resolved, that is, I mean, the body, the request that you made, then you can assign it to a, or you can set a state and show something. Let's actually do that. Let's turn this stateless to stateful. What should I do? First thing you need to do is turning this to, I'm just coming up here. Create a class home screen and extend stateful widget. And now it's a bit different. Now you need to create your state, and you have a method called create state, and you can return a class which is going to be extending a state. I'm gonna go ahead and call it home screen state. That's going to have a builder, and I will remove this, and I will remove a stateless and turn it to state, which is going to be home screen. That is the simplest way you can create a stateful widget, and the rest remain the same. Let's review it again because it's a bit important. I'm gonna create a stateful widget for home screen, and then I'm gonna create a state, return my state. But return my state is similar to the stateless widget, except instead of extending a stateless widget, you need to extend state class, which is going to be the same class as this stateful widget. And then you can return that here. So then now you have a stateful widget. You can now set up a state. And now here, I have another method, an extra method here called initial state. State. And that also can be override by the way. Sorry. So now I have initial state. It seems like I am, something is, okay, here it is. And by the way, initial state is void, that's it. And you need to call something called super initial state. What does that mean? When you have a constructor and when you say super, that means inherit from everything from the parent, which is now this, and call that first. So now you're setting up everything. That means this. You need to call it and get everything from parents for sure. And parent is now its state, because you're extending that, right? So that's the first thing you need to do. And now you're creating a state. Here is where the class is getting called, the initial state is getting called only once, when this class is instantiated, and that's it. So when you want to change the state, you can change the state in the whole application. Now you have a function called set state, and you can check any state. Let me define state. What do I want to define? I want to define here a state, like a local variable. I want to define weather info. That's it. For now, I say this is dynamic. And then what I want to do here, I want to actually fetch my info here. right? Go ahead and do that here now. It's pretty safe to do it. So I'm going to do that, fetch, and then I have, this is going to be, this is going to be a feature, right? Then I have actually .then and dot catch. So by the way, this is going to return a feature because async make this function a feature. And feature means it will either resolve or throw an error. All right. So now I'm fetching my data, but I don't use it. I just fetch it. Okay, that's useless. I need to do something. Once it's resolved, so you get it from .then. I go ahead and here I print the value that is coming to .then. Let's now restart my application. Check the console. Did you see? I get the dynamic here because I printed. If you don't believe me, I add something here, or maybe I can say result, and I do it this way. Let's restart. The reason that you have to restart because initial state it's called when it's instantiated. Afterwards, it doesn't do that. You see, respond, and this is my response. And now I can go ahead and use times. I can here say value access to the time. This is the way that you access these type of objects. And if I now refresh, I just get time, right? Let's go to the JSON to those who didn't understand this part well. In the JSON, I have 1, 2, 3 key. And my key is times, temps, days. And these are giving me a list of string, right? The way that now you can use it here is same. I got this JSON, the code back, and now I call the key and get the result, the value. I can use that now in my application. But again, dynamic doesn't tell me anything. And also I always need to say this way. I always need to check, yeah, if something goes wrong, if I like say instead of times, time, then I get null back because it doesn't exist, or it's maybe through an error exception. Yes, well, is there any better way to do it? Of course, there's always a better way to do it. What we can do, we can create our model. We can deserialize and serialize and create, we can turn this JSON decode to a Dart object or a Dart class. And then we can make sure everything working correctly. Let's do that. What I'm gonna do here, let's do that. What I'm gonna do here now, I'm gonna go ahead and create a model called weather info. And model or Dart object is a class. So then I create a class called weather info. And do you remember again from here what type of keys we have? We have times, temps, days. I will define this as my arguments here, my properties here. So I'm going to go ahead and say I have a list of a string, which is times, final, list of temps, which is temps, and final list of, again, sorry, this is list of a string, and a list of, what was that, the other one, days. And now you need to pass them to constructor. Good. Then now you have this dot times, this dot temps, and this dot days. Good. So now you created an object. But the problem is that now you need to go here. So in this, instead of returning a dynamic, we want to fix the problem, right? You want to return weather info. And that's not correct right now. What we can do this way. Days, days. And we're passing that to this. However, that might be a little bit problematic later. A better way is to deserialize this data. And the way that you can do that from JSON is to create a factory here. Wow, what is the factory? Factory is another constructor. So Dart can have several constructors, so you can name it factory. So, and that factory does the same thing as the main constructor does, except you can maybe do some more stuff over there. Let's have a look at that. So I create a factory. I just say factory, and that tells Dart that I'm gonna create a factory. That means another somehow constructor. And that's going to be a weather dot. That's a convention, and that's what you need to know, and that's important. From JSON to JSON, it's on the Dart classes. You need to do that for serialize and deserializing. So you call it from JSON. And that's a function which is going to return that weather app. And as you see here, we're going to have times. At the moment, let's say this. We're going to have temps. At the moment, it's this. And we're going to have days. Just that. From JSON, by the way. So now I need to pass my JSON here. That's the JSON decoded one. And the format usually is a map, right? It's a after we decode, we convert JSON to a map, Dart map. And that usually have a string, key, and dynamic value. That's the JSON. And what we can do here, instead of doing that here, here, instead of doing that here in this class, say day, blah, blah, day, blah, blah, we can do it here. We can now say JSON times. What else we have? We had 3 keys, right? Temps, days. Okay, why did I do that? Because now instead of here coming and do it manually, then you can actually pass that object to this from JSON. Info dot from JSON. And now you can pass the body. Now it's going to be weather object. Let's actually check if it's true. First, it's throwing error here because it's not anymore the one that you are expecting. And second, let's do that. I'm going to go ahead and refresh. All right, I want to see this error. Yes, when I explain this, I say that, the factory one. So it says that the type blah, blah is not a subtype of blah, blah. And the reason is that it's actually pointing to the error. Because you are saying that the times here, it's a list of a string, but you are passing here a list of dynamic. But you need to somehow say to Dart that actually this is going to be a list of a string. It's not a list of dynamic. That's why it threw an error. I deliberately did that you see the error. So I move on. So what you can do, this is what we call it in Dart, cast. So you can cast your variable from one type to another type. And usually that's a dynamic to something, right? So in this one, I can call a method called cast. And now I can say my cast is going to have a string. And I'm going to do that for all of them. That's one way of doing that, by the way. There are several other ways. So now if I refresh, and if I go to console, I should see instance of weather. Why? Because I'm printing the whole instance. Why it's so useful right now? Because now I have value dot days temp times. Fantastic. I have a Dart object right now, and I can just chain and call all the keys directly. That's what I wanted. Before we continue, let's move on to, let me explain one more time a factory. Factory, it's similar to this constructor. The way that it works is that you create a factory and you get access to that factory everywhere, like that syntax, and it is going to return your constructor. And in a factory, which is a method, and here you pass something to that method, you go ahead and create your object out of that factory, which is now it's this main object, and it gives you the weather object. So instead of doing that here, I could do it here, but instead of body JSON, I should say body. Instead of that, I will create a JSON and do that here. So that's simple. I actually explained it a little bit simple, but it's more advanced than this. So, but I don't want you to get confused. Just bear with me, and you learn more than this later. So now I have a Dart object. All right, I have a Dart object. Someone asked, is cast similar to typecasting in C? I am not familiar with C. I'm sorry. I am not familiar with C. So if now I have the value, and for the first time when this function, this class is instantiated, I get that. How I can set that to this variable? Because now this is null, right? By default, this is null. You need to here call a function called set state and say which state you want to set. Set state is a function that accepts a callback as a function, another function. And in that anonymous function, this is set state, and you're going to have an anonymous function, and then you call weather equal to value. Good. Now I fetched my data for the first time. After it's resolved, I get response 200. I get my Dart object, and I go ahead and set that here. I'm going to go down, and instead of my hard-coded times and where was that? Here. Instead of hard-coded times and temps, I'm going to go say weather.times, weather.times, and weather.temps. But look at that red error on the screen. I know developer wants to see that, right? But why it's going on? What's going on right now? Why I'm getting that? So I just called that and I set that. Why it's happening? Can someone guess what is happening? Why it says the getter times what colon null? Why it says that this is null? Even though I have this set state here. Can someone guess? And just guess right in the chat for me. No one can guess. But I can tell you, that's good. You don't know. The reason is that when, for the first time, you come to the build method, you are immediately calling weather for the first time. That's because this weather is initially first. What is it? Tell me in the chat. First, before calling this. What is weather info? Null. That's correct. But then after a few milliseconds, it becomes a weather info object. But first you call a null. How can you solve this problem? Because this is asynchronous right now. How can you solve that? The simplest thing that you can do, you can have a check here on a scaffold. Let me just fold this down. This is your build method, and it's going to create this, right? On a scaffold, what I can do, I can say if weather is not equal to null, please do that. Or I can here say if is not equal, do that. But then if it's null, what should I do? You can do something else. You can just simply say else, maybe scaffold, no up bar, nothing, just maybe a center and a text, sorry, child, and a text which is saying loading. Just tell something is loading, and that's it. When it's null, by the way, you need to return this. So let's look at our app here. We have a widget. We have a build widget, build a method on the widget, and it says when it's null, when it's not null, do something. When it's null, just show loading, and this is my loading. Beautiful loading. Now let me refresh again. What you see? What did you see? It just quickly show a white page, and then you look at this loading. Boom, that's coming. So when you are setting this state after a few seconds, let me just again do that. It's loading. Boom. Then it's coming because you get this result and set, and then it's not null anymore, and it's rendered. So you're learning something right now. When you set a state, the build method will build that widget again. And then that's why it goes to this if, and instead of the second one, else one, it just rendered this. Did you get me? So let's do that once more. Loading, boom, another one. That's nice. And I have now this beautiful scroll here. We achieved what we wanted. We received the data from backend. We just parse it, we decode it, we create our weather info object, and we just pass it to list builder, and that is what we built. Fantastic. So the next thing that I want you to do for your homework, and by the way, I give you this code, I give you the full application that is going to work, and you have everything, don't worry about it. I want you to go and implement this one. It's gonna be simple, but instead of this, we have this. So, but one last thing before we finish this today workshop. So one last thing. I want to have another page. Let's close this. Let me go back to main. Now, I only have one page, one screen, and that is home screen, right? What are you saying to me? But I want to have several screens. When I click on this, I want to go to another screen, or click on this, go to another one, or click on this, go to another one, you know? Here, sorry. Here is where I need routing. And look at me right now, how easy I create routing. Just look at this right now. 3 minutes give me, and I create one routing for you, another page. How you can do that? First, you need to remove home. You don't need home anymore. Instead, you need a routes arguments here, which is an array. Sorry, which is a map. which is an object. And as a key, you need to define a name for your routing. This is, by the way, what we call it named routes. So this is our name routing mechanism. So you can have unnamed one, but let's stick on that. First and most important one is the home page. How can I have a home page? If you look at the error, it says the builder for route blah blah return null. So I need to have the first thing first, initial route. This is my initial route. And it's going to be an, like I said, this is going to be a function, anonymous function. So I'm going to say it's an anonymous function that has context, and it's going to return my screen. So this is my widget, which I copied. Now save. Okay. I create one route. That's my main route. Instead of home, now I have home route. But I need to tell to material that what is my route, first route. Initial route is another argument. So you need to say which route you have, and that's the first route. So now if I restart, I get the same thing. But what is changing right now? What is changing right now, it's beautiful because you can create another route. I can say slash settings or setting, and then I create anonymous function, and then I say return maybe settings, setting a screen. But we don't have setting a screen, right? Let's create a setting a screen here. Setting a screen is going to be a class, and it's going to extend a stateless widget that's going to render scaffold return. Sorry, it's going to have a build, and that build's going to return scaffold. Good. So now I create another page. Let me just to refresh our mind. I copied these things. Here under setting, I create another one and say setting screen.dart. That's another file. Paste it here. I need to import material widget from material app, and that's okay, my second. And if I go back now to main, I can now import that from the page that I created. Now I have two screens, screen 1 and screen 2. And this is going to be setting, this is going to be home. I have 2, but how I can go from here to 2? How I can go to another page? That's okay. That's okay, you can do that. That's simple. You remember we have an icon button, and that was here. You remember this? Now you can remove that, and instead of that, you can say navigator, and you can call a function called push, named. And now you could say which route you want to push to. Which route you want to push to? That's slash settings. Right? That's how you can do that. Let's again have a reminder. How did I do that? You have a navigator class, and then you have push named because you created the named route, and the name route has, what was it? It was slash setting, right? I just go ahead and do that. When I do that, when I click now, it goes to another page. Look at that here. This is another page, but that page is empty. Let's implement something on that. Let me open setting. Let me at least have an app bar. And that would, if you remember, was app bar, and that could have nothing. That simple app bar just give me a back because I pushed something to my routing or navigator. Now I can click and it goes back. Boom, 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 boom. You can go ahead and actually have that page as same as this design. Let me just show you the design. This is another design. If I click, it goes here. You have this beautiful page, background, everything. And then you have this button, which is clicking and go back to the home page, or you can click and this go to home page. In order to click on the button and go back to a previous page, you need to just call a function on Navigator called pop. Let me show you here. So instead of that, you can say navigator dot pop, and pop means go back one go back one step back, one page, one screen back. But I don't want it for here, but when you go to this page, you want it for this icon. That's good. That's good. So now you know how to create screens. Fantastic. You know most of the important stuff to create a Flutter app. You know the most important widgets, and you know how to fetch data. You know how to deserialize and serialize from JSON to JSON, and you know how to create page and navigate between page. And this was my goal for these 2 days. You now understand Dart basic, you now understand Flutter basic, and now you can create actually an app. But most of the apps you're gonna create, it's not as simple as this app for sure. You may need a lot of other, let's say, widgets. There are tons of widgets, which we haven't talked right now, but these basic widgets just works. It just, you know, this app, I could just simply create it. And that's the app similar to the iOS weather app. With this simple widget, you can create almost everything, but you may need an advanced widget for different stuff. So you can go ahead and learn more widgets right now, because now you learn how to use widgets. You just not need to know more widgets to do advanced stuff, and that's it. And that takes time. Even I don't know all the widgets. Sometimes I search on documentation to find something. So it's not like everyone knows everything. So you should take your time, go and do this app. Take your time, that's important, and write code, get familiar, and you know, play around, create your own text widget, create your own container, do something, reuse some of your widget by just extracting to another file and reuse them in different other files. These are the things that is important, but the rest you can go on documentation on flutter.dev and find it, and that's it. So it's not something very rocket science. So it's simple. I want to end our session now. What I'm gonna do before we go, now I'm gonna push. I was waiting for this moment. I want to push whether this complete app right now to the repo that I mentioned, and I did right now. And I want to actually also just the code that I did, I want to also push it to another branch. So you have an incomplete and a complete branch to just check and play around with it. So let me just one more time send the, let me just copy, go back to my repo. This is the repo. And this is, if you now go to this repo, you'll get this branch. And I posted here, and that's the complete app. all of the things that we've done is there now. So there is only one thing is missing, missing, which I'm going to push it now. So, and that's the thing that you need. So please go ahead and run this application and try to complete this application. Complete, add your stuff, make it better, nicer, and send me a PR. I will merge it into this, let's say, this repository, and I will have your name as a contributor. So just do that, and I want to see what you've done, what you've achieved. You have time, no worries. Maybe you can do it the rest of the week, and you can send me later. But please do, and please go and do that, because it's very important. You practice. If you don't practice, you don't learn. So once more, you get this URL from me. Yeah, I sent the, sorry, again, I'm sending privately. Sorry. Here is the repo again. And here is the branch that is complete. So you can go ahead and clone it, plug it, and try it out, and try to create this app. And you have the fetch, you have everything over there. You just need to just go through it, and maybe you can come back to this video and check it out, day 2 especially, and create what you can. Also, one more thing before we go. Now you are an official Flutter developer. You may are interested in Flutter conference, Flutter Viking. We're gonna have quite a lot of good talks. So we're gonna have 3 days of Flutter conference, around 18 talks. So it will be like a big conference. So if you, by that time, it's a month from now, you will become a more advanced developer. So you may come to those talks and check it out and learn even more. And with that said, I finished my session. Thanks for joining. I'm quite happy for all of you having me in this 2 days workshop. It was quite fun. Although me was only one talking, but then I am so sorry. So too many attendees, I'm not able to go to each of you. But what I can do, and I promise, is that if you send me a PR for this repo and create your application, I will shout it out and merge it in and add you to the contributor. So do that. So the gradient one, yes, we can debug it, but can you do me a favor for those who has the gradient problem? Can you create a repo and make it a problem, make it push your code and come to the repo that I sent you, start with Flutter, open a full, open an issue and paste your repository and paste your problem with the picture that you sent me and mention that, okay, you have this problem. If you got any problem, come to this repo, open an issue and call me. I will come and answer your question over there. I think that's way better than spending time right now. And just do that and I'll answer it and fix it for you. Neil, I'm at your service. I'm gonna stop my sharing service.
Yes. So thanks a lot, Majid, for taking out time 2 days to do this entire workshop. It was a great workshop indeed. So as promised, for all of the people here, your surprise is here in the Zoom meeting. Yotam, if you can hear me, can you turn on your cam? And yep, so guys, your surprise is here. The stage is all yours, Yotam.
By the way, can I leave you?
Yeah, okay, Majid, that's totally fine. if that's
I'm so sorry if because I have another meeting and it's already started in 5 minutes, so I have to leave. But everyone, I love you. I really like you now, our official Flutter developer, and you can reach me out, by the way, on Twitter. You got my handler already, so you find me on Twitter, or you open an issue on GitHub for the repo that I sent you, so that I can answer all of your questions. And let's keep in touch. See you later. Bye.
Bye, Majid. Thanks a lot. Yep. So, Yotam, the stage is all yours. You're muted. Okay. The surprise. The surprise is Yotam. He's gonna reveal the surprise for you. He can't talk. There is pizza in Domino's. Just call them up and then they'll deliver it to your house, Varun. I'm sorry we don't give pizza. Oh, wait, wait. Okay.
Okay, great. Hi, hello everyone. Everyone can hear me.
Yep.
I'm very thrilled to be here. I'll start by introducing myself. My name is Yotam. I'm 33 years old from Israel, Tel Aviv. I'm a junior developer advocate. I'll explain in a second what it means. And I'll close this here because it's making noise and we don't need it. Okay, so I will keep it short and simple because I know that you had a long workshop today, a fascinating one. I watched most of it, and I want to let you all go to sleep and end your day. So I promise I'll try to keep it as short as possible. The reason I was invited over to talk to you today is to talk about AI, artificial intelligence, and how we can implement it in our code writing, productivity, in our projects. I work for a company called Codota. This is an Israeli and USA-based small company. If I can, maybe that's the time to share my screen. Neil, if you can just let me share my screen.
Yes, I'll just make you the co-host so that you can do it. Yep, I've made you co-host. I think you can be able to share your screen now.
Great, thank you very much. In the meanwhile, I will just say that I'm very thrilled talking to people from India. It's been a long time since I last been in your beautiful country, probably my favorite. And I really wish that COVID-19 will end soon so I can come over again and visit this beautiful place. And I'm thrilled and happy and honored that I get to speak to all of you. Now is the time to share my screen. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So everyone can see my screen. I hope you can.
Yes, we can see the screen.
Okay. Okay, great. You see my mouse moving just to make sure that you're seeing the right screen?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. So Codota is a company that has two main features and are both made for developers, for code developers, to help you write code faster and better using artificial intelligence. Codota is about transforming software development using AI, and the way we do that is made out of a few elements. Our main goal is that in 5 years from now, every code writing flow will be generated or supported by artificial intelligence. No one can take your job away from you. We still need the human mind to create smart applications, widgets, and softwares, but we can use artificial intelligence to increase our productivity. And I will dive deeper into that in a second. A little bit about Codota. There are 30 of us We were founded in late 2016, raised almost $17 million so far to develop our artificial intelligence algorithms. And we already have 1 million users. They are code developers writing in all languages, in all IDEs, in all code editors. And we plan on being the biggest eventually, that our main, I would say, vision is that in a few years from now, every developer on planet Earth will use our plugins in their code writing process. So why do we need the help of an AI in our development, in our process, in our projects? See this iceberg right here. The tip of the icebergs demonstrates the part that is unique to the project that you're currently working on. No AI can just come up with ideas. We need human minds to come up with ideas and make the specific manipulations on the code that will adjust into what we are trying to achieve. But most of the iceberg, most of our work is made of repetitive code that was already solved thousands and millions of times before us. That's why half of the time, I think you can all identify with that most of your work developing and working on code is just searching online for solutions that were already made by other developers. Let's just say that you never had to go online and search for what you're trying to do right now, see how people did it already, and see if you can find the exact solution of what you're trying to achieve, because someone already did it before. This is most of the work, is just repeating stuff that people already do. And on top of that, there is your unique part that is different in your machine, in your application. What we are giving you is a way of having all that tedious and repetitive and boring stuff. We take it away. You add your plugin to your IDE, and everything you need is already there. The benefits of that, first of all, in productivity, you get to work much faster. You don't waste time on searching for solutions that were already made online. Second, once everyone are using the same solutions, it creates harmony. Let's pretend that you are in a team and some of the teammates are working on the same thing, but each one of you is using different methods that you found online. Eventually, most of you are doing the same thing, but writing different lines of code that are getting the same results, the same solution. If you could all use the same pattern, the same method, everything will be more professional. Let me take it into an example. So one moment, please. Let's say that you have, can you see the code here? Do I need to make the font bigger? Maybe something like that?
Yes, I was going to ask you to. Yeah, it looks perfectly fine right now.
Okay, wonderful. So what we have here is a beginning of a function. It's a very simple function that needs to calculate the time that passed since we defined our start point that is made out of a new date get time. I don't know how many of you here are JavaScript developers, but the example that I'm giving here can work on every language, on every code editor. Okay, this is JavaScript and Visual Studio Code. So we have a function that has a variable named start, and once the function will run, once it will be invoked, it will take the timestamp that is now at start. Now, the next thing that we need to do is to get our endpoint. The moment that I just start typing const, you see this over here? This is our plugin artificial intelligence taking into action. It already knows that what I'm trying to do here is it understood that I'm calculating something. It understood that I have a starting point. It already knows that I need my endpoint. So it offers me not just end, it offers me the whole code line. Yes, I need that end will be new date and get time. What else do I need? I need to return something. The moment I write return, it already knows what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to do end minus start. Let's take another example. Let's say we have an array of products that is based on, that is an array of objects. We have products. The first product is shoes, is of type shoes. The price is 100 and it's ID because every product has an ID. The product ID is 0001. Now let's add another product and call it, what do we see here? First of all, it offers me to use shoes again, but because it sees that I'm doing an array, but also the AI it knows the world. It doesn't just read it doesn't only read the file that you're currently working on. It has knowledge from the real world, from the outside. It knows that in products, if I already have shoes, maybe my next product is boots. And if my next product is boots, then I probably need another price, which can be 200. What else do I need? I need an ID. This is already reading the 0001. It knows that I might need 0002, and it's correct. And it can go on and on and on. It's actually a combination of the project that you're currently working on, plus intelligence that read 16 million pages of code lines from all over the world and is now brought to you, and it's offering you its intelligence. It is super easy to use. Everything you need to do is just to download the plugin from the extensions tab in your IDE. Now, the good news is that tab 9, the product that I just showed you, is totally free and everyone can use it. But the better news is that we have a premium product that is GPU based, sitting in our servers, working like you would never imagine that thing can work. We usually charge money for that, but all of you are getting 100 days of using it for free. We'll get you a link that will take you into this page that we made for you. You just type in your email address here and you'll get an API key that lets you use it, our Tab 9 Pro for free for 100 days. And I really hope you will all try it. I think it can increase your productivity at least in 50%. You won't believe the magic that can happen. And that's about it. I hope it wasn't too long. And if anyone has a question, you can just turn on, I don't know if you can turn on your cameras, but you can use your chat. Wait a second, I'll pause my screen share so I can see the chat. If anyone has a question about AI, about how this plugin works, about life in Israel under COVID-19, I'm here for that. Otherwise, I would say good night, but I'll let you ask the questions. It seems amazing. It says trial subscription failed. You mean that you already tried to? I'm answering to Mitin, saying that it says the trial subscription failed. Neil, do they already have the link?
Nope, I didn't give the link to anybody yet. We were just waiting for you to come and announce.
So I'm not sure which subscription failed.
Mithun, if you could elaborate on the issue, we could help you a bit more here.
Okay.
I think he already has tab 9. I think that might be an issue.
Oh, okay. So if anyone has a problem, it says trial subscription failed. Yeah, I see. If anyone is already using tab 9 in their IDE and you already signed in to the trial period, which is 14 days, you might then you might get a subscription failed error. It's okay. We can take care of that. Just hand over your emails to Neil. He will hand them over to me, and I will make sure that you get the 100 days for free. Are you anything soon going to establish a branch here in India? I don't know yet. I know that we do have plans on growing to Asian countries. I'm not sure about India, but be sure that Hackclub, or especially Neil and Manav, will be the first ones to know about it. I didn't get the email yet, but it says okay. Every problem that you have with subscribing to this promotion, just hand over your emails to Neil. He will hand it over to me, and we'll take care of it.
Yes, you can. We'll clear all your doubts by tonight or by tomorrow morning, guys.
No problem. We're here for you. Do you play the guitar? I do play the guitar. Oh, you sit here in the background. Yes. when I'm not writing code, I play the guitar. All right, guys. I hope it was a bit interesting for all of you, and I really hope you will try this plugin. I know that the reason I joined this company is because I started using it and I was blown away. So I wrote to them and they took me. And thank you all. It's been a pleasure and it was fun. And thank you, Neil, and thank you, Hackclub.
Thanks to you also, Yotam, and thanks to Sharon as well for the subscriptions and the amazing stuff that you're doing for us. And we'll stay in touch, and I'll let you know if we encounter anything.
Okay. All right, then. Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Good night. Goodbye, Yotam.
Bye-bye.
Bye. And